Welcome back, my legends. I'm back, and today I'm going to explain the news stories from the Outlands Encore because there's a lot of interesting details that a lot of people miss, and also I want to simplify the story just a bit for people who don't know what's going on. But first, let me introduce the new legend that's coming to Apex. His name is Montgomery Brinkman, or Ballistic for short. Now, this guy is 64 years old, making him the oldest human being in the roster. And so the thing about Ballistic is that his lore bio doesn't really tell the full story. It just makes it seem like he's just a rich, arrogant person that just wanted to blow stuff up, but his cinematic tells a different story. So in the beginning of the cinematic, we see that Ballistic is making some kind of smoothie. Now, the first thing I notice about this is that his hands. We see metal pieces on his hands, meaning that his hand is probably augmented, which could imply a lot of things, but I'll say that later on the video. So the next thing we see is that Ballistic is walking down the hallway of his mansion. Now, the first thing I wondered to myself, is this the same mansion where Loa stole 2 diamonds from? And apparently it's not, because the one that Loa stole from is from her planet Samati, while Ballistic lives in the planet Gia, where Crypto, Caustic, and Rampart are from. Point is, as he's walking down the hallway, he goes past this memorial picture of somebody we haven't met before. Now, this person right here, his name is Kit Siang. I know some people were thinking maybe it was Newton Summers. It's not. It's a completely different person. Now, this guy's death is the whole reason why Ballistic is the way he is right now. The next thing we see is that Ballistic is still walking down the hallway, pretty much showing us that he's all alone in this big house, even though we see a portrait of what looks to be him and his kid, which also implies he has a wife. It makes you wonder what happened to them, and well, we get an answer later on. And so the next scene we see is basically Ballistic's accomplishments, and now we get to start to see the full picture of who this guy is. Now, as you can see, Ballistic has a lot of trophies, and I mean a lot, but the thing that caught my eye, these little medals seem like accolades that you get from fighting in some kind of war. And the reason I'm saying this is because in the next scene we see Outlands TV live, and that they're making a documentary about August Brinkman, pretty much like the rise and fall of his career. Now, the thing that's interesting about the clips that they showed is that not all the clips that they showed is him fighting in Thunderdome, which is weird because Thunderdome is stationary. Unlike the Apex games where they had different maps and locations, Thunderdome never moves. It's just basically in Solus and that's it. So why are they showing these other clips? Well, because that leads me to believe that those clips are from when Ballistic was fighting in the Outland Civil War. And the reason I'm saying this is because if he fought in Thunderdome, that means that his last match should have been in the year 2717, because Gibby mentioned that he used to bet on Ballistic all the time.
Ballistic. Whole brother brings back memories. I always bet on him in my Thunderdome days.
And in the Pathfinder's quest book, he mentioned how he got a job working there where he was 14 with his boyfriend Nick, meaning that the tragedy that happened with Kit happened somewhere around this time, which leads us to these two. Now, for those of you who don't know, this right here, this person, his name is Suk Ling. She will eventually go on to marry Ballistic and have a kid with him named Nathaniel. But what you need to know is that this is the sister of Kit Siang, the person that died in the memorial in the beginning of the cinematic. All because Ballistic was playing very selfishly that he didn't pay attention to his teammates, which led to his death. But point is because of the death of Kit, what probably happened is that Ballistic either made a promise to him or himself that he'll never fight again or do anything violent. And so for the next 20 years, Ballistic pretty much withdrew from the public eye, but he also isolated himself from his family, pretty much ignoring his kid, becoming a heavy drinker, being absent for his wife to the point where she got fed up and left him with his son, which will probably explain why Nathaniel has his mom's last name instead of his name, because they probably don't want to associate with him, which is pretty sad because in many ways Ballistic became a forgotten legend. That was until he heard that his son qualified to be in the Apex games, and I'm guessing he kind of realized that history might repeat itself with what happened with Kit. So he literally armed himself, went to Mr. Silva's office and demanded that his son be kept out of the games while he joined as tribute, which Mr. Silva easily agreed to his terms, which kind of made no sense to me, unless this was part of his plan all along, because when you think about it, it doesn't really make any sense, because if this was anybody else that did this other than Ballistic, Mr. Silva will already be like away from the location in another secure place. But no, he was just in his office alone, almost like he was waiting for him, cracking jokes about it. And even one of the guards mentioned, do you know this guy? And so even though it does sound crazy, it will make a whole lot of sense, because we know Outlands TV did endorse Eduardo to run the syndicate. Eduardo controls the syndicate, which means he runs the Apex games, which means he could have let Daniel qualify in order to piss off Ballistic in order for him to join. The real question is, why? What is so special about Ballistic that he needed him to join the Apex games? And that's a video, my legends, for another time. Thanks for watching, and I hope I'll see you next time. Peace.